Thanks for staying with us. Now, we begin in Parliament, where Member of Parliament for Damongo, Adam Mutawakilo, who is also ranking member for the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, has questioned the Energy Minister, Boakye Jako, for being unable to, first of all, submit the report of the investigative committee the Energy Minister himself set up to investigate the sale of contaminated fuel, 5 million liters of contaminated fuel to two companies, Zoop Energy and Moving Pina. He also questioned how come the energy minister has been unable to implement the LNG, the liquefied natural gas deal between Ghana and Equatorial Guinea in the 3-month deadline he set for himself earlier. I had a conversation earlier with Adam Mutawakilu about what he makes of 2017, and a number of these issues came up.
How has it been for you, particularly from where you sit as ranking member of Mines and Energy Committee?
Yeah, the year has been with several problems, especially the energy sector, a lot of scandals, the ministry inability to meet its targets as stated in the 2017 budget, and certain promises, statements that were made by the Minister of Energy. The year has come to an end. It's almost getting to the end, and we are now seeing any little move in respect to those promises. So let me pick them one after the other. First of all, I want to measure the Minister of Energy in respect to the 2017 budget with certain highlights. First and foremost, the minister submitted, taking cognizance of what the NDC has achieved over the years, for example, rural electrification. In 2015, we connected about 550 communities, and that brought the coverage, access to electricity, to about 80.5. In 2016, the Minister of Energy, and therefore the NDC government, connected to the national grid 1,212 communities. And that brought the access to electricity to about 83.24. Then in 2017 budget, the ministry promised to connect 2,185 communities by the end of the year. As per the 2018 budget, they have so far been able to connect 289, and that is about 13%. This is woefully inadequate and underperformance. And that only moved the access to electricity from 83.24 to 83.62. That means less than 0.5% increase. And this...
We did see that the government generally was unable to meet some revenue targets, which could account for the inability to raise funds to meet some of these promises.
Is it that they were not realistic in the budget? So that is another element of underperforming. If you look at the budget that they have stated and what they have achieved, you don't overstay ambitious budget. It must be realistic. So that means that the first case, the budget they brought was not realistic budget. It was over-ambitious and therefore contributed to non-performance. And
the government officials have said in the election cycle coming into their first year in government that they will not go the track of the former government of borrowing to carry out projects, but they would rather look at a shift from taxation to production. And so implementing these new policies, challenges were bound to come up. No.
Do you know the donor component of the Minister of Energy for even 2018? 84%. 84% donor component. And 2017, the same 84%. And the donor component, do you know how much realized? 25% of that amount came. So it contradicts the president's promise that, oh, we are going out of aid. Meanwhile, a ministry like Minister of Energy, the donor component is 84% of the budget. Where are you exiting from aid? So this is the situation in respect to the energy ministry. Over 80%. this next year, 84% of the budget is from donor funded. So in that case, it's not from domestically raised revenue. This is donor funded. And that is why I said that you must be realistic. How did we achieve the 1,212 communities in 2016? They should have access. And as I always indicated, there are students, when it comes to the energy sector, there are students for us to teach. But they are too known. They don't want to ask questions. And that's why they recorded that. As at December 2016, we have an installed capacity of 4,132 megawatts. They indicated clearly that in the 2017 budget, in 2016 alone, we added 880 megawatts. And that come 2017, they will add 1,200 megawatts. And they added up adding 225 megawatts, which is far, 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 far below expectation. So when it comes to the energy sector, looking at the budget they set and what has been achieved is woefully inadequate. They indicated...
And did you add the second car power ship that just came in after the second budget was read?
That is it. That is what they kept in the budget, the car power. So it has come and it's here to add, so they assume that it will add. So that is what I have added. You know, they brought in the car power and we drew the 225. So you net it. Because there was an existing 225, you brought 450. So net effect is 225, which they kept in the budget that they have achieved. But it's good to put it on record. This was something we initiated and brought the first batch, which is the 225, and we indicated clearly that a second batch will be coming and started the proceedings. When the 225 was coming, we were all in this country, they raised so much concern about the guarantee and that it is too expensive and took us to court, to the Supreme Court and lost. But they came to power and continued from where we left off. They went for $174 million guarantee. So you see, when in opposition what they said, they have come and they are doing completely opposite of what they said. So these are some of the indicators per the 2017, which is not encouraging and which is woefully unsatisfactory. Now you come to the sector agencies. Since 2017, we've been hearing scandal here, scandal there, which is not good for the energy sector. For example, moving Pina, burst, contaminated fuel, 500 million Ghana cedis, was an issue that we discussed. And we, the minority, called for an independent investigation. The minister set up a committee to investigate. And the minister's statement, he made it clear that within a month, they should submit the report. We are 4 months down the lane, no report, cover up. This is a clear cover up for wrongdoing. And will this lead us anywhere? No.
As a member of parliament, have you demanded for the report, and what was the response you got?
The minister was invited by a member of our committee, Honorable Bauer. He indicated that very soon the report will be ready, and he made it available to the committee. As we speak today, he has forgotten of his own statement that should be submitted within 1 month. And as we see today, the committee haven't received any report. So he was called and questioned. And committee, up to date, we haven't. So that means the report is not even ready. 2, we are in this country, premix fuel, knowing very well that premix fuel is very critical to our fishermen and fisher food, being diverted, making these fishermen to suffer to get premix. And they claim that an investigation has been set up when there is a source for arrest. Because it is clear that the Landing Beach Committee members signed that they had received this premix fuel on behalf of the fishermen and that it will be delivered to the fishermen. At the end of the day, it was diverted. That is the first point of arrest. We call on the government to effect the arrest of these Premix Landing Beach Committee members and start a bottom-up investigation. The government ignored us and set up a committee up to date. It has been silent. 22 million Ghana cedis lost. And the minister has not said anything. 2, there's so far no action. We call for the dismissal of the Minister of Fisheries for conflict of interest. Because becoming a minister, he appointed the brother to head the Premix committee. And that has started all this. But if we had arrested the Landing Beach Committee members, then you realize that they will tell you who asked them to sign when, at the same time, knowing that the fuel will not get to the fishermen. Up to date, government is silent on it. Scraps, disposal, ended up that good equipment had been sold. And up to date, instead of Yoko to investigate, the management are setting up their own investigation team.
But efforts have been made to investigate, even with the setup of these committees, aren't they?
No, you can't investigate yourself properly. You see, you can't investigate yourself properly. As far as Yoko could rush into Electoral Commission to investigate, they should be interested in all these things. Because this is a national asset. And if such a scandal should happen, running into millions of Ghana cedis, and Yoko is seated not concerned, then it's a cause for worry. We believe that TOR cannot investigate itself at all. No.
Away from a number of these issues that have come up, one point that the current energy ministry and government in general has raised is the end of load shedding, the end of Dumsor, as was called in the Guinean parlance, attributing it to their own efforts.
Yeah, that was, how did Dumsor end? That is the first question. What specific initiative have they taken to end Dumsor? They can't point one.
Coming into government, their point was that it will be a liquidity in the energy sector. It was as a result of liquidity, lack of liquidity in the energy sector, that we weren't able to buy fuel, and so they were going to make sure that we'll get money to buy fuel.
Where have they gotten the liquidity? I'll address everything. Where did they get the liquidity? Is it from the ESLA? Or where? Where did they get the liquidity? You see, the energy sector had challenges, and we were all aware that Akosombo was down in terms of the water level. Have you heard of Akosombo VRA complaining that the water level is down? No. That means it has improved significantly. And because of that, it affected Pong. And because of the hydrology, it affected Bui. So that is first. So this time in 2017, we don't have such situations. The NDC took very important, critical decisions that the previous government criticized for. And one of them was ESLA, Energy Sector Levy. We realized that the debt was accumulating. And if the NDC government do not take pragmatic measures and critical measures, we might have challenges. So we brought in ESLA so that we'll leverage the debt. Once the debt is leveraged, we'll have some space to be able to provide the fuel that is needed. The previous government, now in government, NPP, criticized former President Mama for bringing nuisance taxes. And when they come, they will scrap it. Meanwhile, this ESLA was for 5 years for us to be able to pay off all this debt. And then the act will come to an end. The NPP came, and they've extended it over 15 years today.
And they reduced it.
What is the impact of the reduction? That is the point. What is the impact? Your scrap is not the same as reduce. You can't tickle it and come and tell me you have reduced. You said you scrap. And now it's being used as a special purpose vehicle, ESLA PLC, to raise a bond. And the bond even didn't yield the results that they needed, because they needed 6 billion Ghana cedis, and they got 4.7 billion. The next question is, Is that prudence? We don't think that is a prudent way to go. One, the cost of even issuing it is 177 million Ghana cedis to the Ghanaian taxpayer. This is more than the Ministry of Works and Housing, which is 91, which is more than the budget of the Ministry of Sports.
The point was raised that is less than 2% of the total amounts that they want to raise. But the point really is that this year Ghanaians have not seen load shedding or doom so.
That is what
which is what this government, which is where I'm bringing us to.
You don't yield results where you have no suit. It is the ESLA inability to put in the ESLA that is cushioning the energy sector, and we are comfortable today. So that means generation, we solved generation, we solved the liquidity, the debt situation, and we're focusing into the gas, that is fuel. We built the Atuabo gas plant under NDC. Now it's taking both Jubilee gas and 10 gas. We invested through the World Bank $7 billion into the ENI. And in the first quarter of this next year, it will bring gas. So you see that we did the necessary investment. They have only come to take credit for where it is not due, because they cannot point out what they have done. But the other critical thing in the future is that, are we able to curb debt accumulation? No. So therefore, this issuance of the bond, will it result to the settlement of the energy debt? No.
The legacy debt in the energy sector. The legacy
debt. Because this year alone, we've accumulated $500 million debt. And if the debt continues to accumulate at this rate, we'll get to 2020, and the debt will still be there. As a government, we thought that within 4 years, we will stop this leakage and then solve the 2.4 billion that had accumulated. But you can't be settling debt when more debt is being built. It will take forever and ever to settle it. And which they are not using any creativity in getting this legacy debt solved once and for all.
Right. So finally, Honourable, would end the energy sector.
I wanted
this
to
discussion.
touch on something.
So let's get her.
In August, the president went to Equatorial Guinea and signed heads of agreement for the supply of LNG. The minister came and held a press conference informing all Ghanaians that come December, we should have LNG in Ghana. I issued a statement and granted interview that it's not possible. They discounted me. It's less than 2 weeks to the end of the year. Where is the LNG from Equatorial Guinea? Where are the plants? Where are the regasification units? It is high time we stop deceiving Ghanaians and be as practical as possible. And members in opposition, that is what we always put to Ghanaians. I told the minister that it won't be possible within a matter of 3-4 months. He disputed it. Now he's not even talking about it.
The Honourable Adam Mutawakilu, the Member of Parliament for Damongo constituency and ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee. You're still watching News Desk with me, Daniel Daze. Stay with us.